to another episode of Pandocap. We have a special guest today that I'll introduce shortly. As we saw Albertsons go public on the New York Stock Exchange, one of the banks that supported this public offering was Penserra. As more companies are accessing the public markets during this pandemic, they're looking for underwriters on IPOs with a focus on social responsibility. This is Penserra. Welcome, George, to the Pandocap show. Can you please share a little bit about your background for our audience and your journey?
Laura, first of all, thanks for having me on Pandocap, and I'm excited to be here. That's a long story. I just had a birthday a couple of days ago, so it made me realize how many years I've been on this planet and in the industry. But I'll try to keep it, somewhat short. So my family's from Mexico. They came from around the city of Acámbaro, Guanajuato, which is in central Mexico. And my dad was a migrant farm worker that came to this country at the age of 14 years old. Can you imagine that? I have a 15-year-old kid, and so 14 seems just so young. And he later became a railroad operator and then a machinist, and he was actually a mariachi singer and a Golden Gloves boxer. So a very interesting story there in my family. And on my mom's side, she raised 5 kids, and she was a housekeeper. And in fact, many of the kids, me included, would help her every day clean these houses. So that was my original background and the beginning of my journey in this career. After around the age of 13, my dad found me my first full-time job during the summers. And then I continued that through high school and college. And I did everything that I could do to pay for my education. That included, working at McDonald, washing cars, delivering pizzas, working at a pear factory. So I did all that. And then an incredible thing happened my sophomore year of college. So I took 2 accounting classes, and it turned out that I was really good at accounting. So I was able to leverage the accounting coursework into a bookkeeping job, and then eventually into an accounting job. And I'd always wanted to break into the investment industry, but I didn't really know how. So around the age of 25, I leveraged all that accounting background to get a job at a company which was later acquired by BlackRock. And I spent 14 years at Barclays Global Investors, running money basically for most of that time as a portfolio manager. And I learned everything there, everything from sales to technology to operations, portfolio management and trading, you name it. They gave me such a foundation of skill that about 12 years ago, I decided to leave my job there and start Penserra. And so Penserra is a diversified financial services firm. You mentioned Albertsons. We have quite a few well-known clients that are like Albertsons, everything from the largest corporations in the country to large asset managers to large banks and large pension plans. And our firm does everything from global equity trading to fixed income trading to banking. And we even run money here. We run about a little over $2 billion across a variety of ETF funds. So I'm very proud of what I've been able to grow here at Penserra.
That's fantastic. Congratulations on all your growth, and what a wonderful story. We continue to see the markets reaching new highs as NASDAQ broke records during this pandemic. Do you have concerns that things have gotten a little bit ahead of themselves, and what do you think is driving this?
Well, that's a very, very interesting question, especially since my business is focused on servicing the market. What I think makes the market interesting is that all these smart people that out there that are in the industry, that they all have a difference in opinion, right? So some have think evaluation should be X, others think evaluation should be Y, and that's what brings buyers and sellers, to the marketplace. So I don't think I have a tremendous amount of insight to provide here. I do agree that the markets are overinflated. If you look at what happened back in the middle of February, call it around the 20th of February through the 20th of March, the market had a very severe decrease of 20 to 30 basis points, depending on what index you're looking at. And then since that time, the market has been on a rally, just rising day after day. And even in spite of the fact that we have more and more news that's been coming out about the pandemic, about all the unemployment. Keep in mind we're at 13.3% unemployment as of May. So you have all this negative news come out. And then the National Bureau of Economic Research came out and said that we are in a recession. So if you use that as a backdrop, the rational side of me said, how is it possible that you're hitting new highs in the NASDAQ? And so I think it's overinflated. I think that certain companies within the NASDAQ really do merit the increase in valuation. But as a whole, I think that the market is overvalued. I think it's a bit irrational enthusiasm that's driving this. There are concerns about where to put your money, and so I think people are putting that money to work in the U.S. stock market. But I would expect a turnaround to the downside to happen sometime over the next 6 months to a year.
George, as companies reacted to some of the protests stating their support for diversity and inclusion, we know Penserra's ethos is built on diversity and inclusion. What would you say to other CEOs who want to lead with this focus?
So Penserra is a Latino majority-owned firm, and we're lucky that diversity is just part of our company's culture. It has been, mainly because of my background, but then because of the people I hire as well. So what I tell other CEOs is, first and foremost, get involved. Do not hand this off to another colleague of yours to drive. You have to be a meaningful part of that initiative. If you don't already have a diversity and inclusion committee, you should have one. And more so, you should sit on that committee. I know a lot of CEOs do not. So if you're not actively involved in that component of it, then your diversity is going to seem just like window dressing. So you have to make sure that you have accountability and focus from the top. With that, you can lead this initiative very, very easily. It does take a little bit of effort, in some cases a lot of effort, but without a doubt, it needs the CEO's involvement.
Next for you for the rest of the year and going into 2021.
For the company, we're going to focus on a variety of technology projects. As I was just saying, technology is becoming even more important than it ever has been. So things like machine learning and robotic processing automation, ways to improve efficiency and to improve our risk management, those are all going to be put in place. We're also deploying some trading algorithms as well at our company, which has been a year-long project. From a personal perspective, I'm going to keep working on more nonprofit work, especially nonprofit initiatives that focus on education. If you look at the population of Latinos in the U.S., right now we're about 18.5% of the population. In 2060, we're going to be 28%. Okay, and that's fantastic. So we're going to have more influence throughout the country. What we need to work on, though, is that if you look at the amount of bachelor's degrees across Latinos, is that we currently only have around 16%, when the predominantly non-ethnic white community has around 32%. They have twice the amount of college graduates that Latinos have. And so we really have to work on that. And so I'm going to put that at the forefront of my efforts to make sure that we have more Latinos that decide to go to college or trade school, more Latinos that are executives at corporations, and more Latinos in the boardroom. That's where my focus is going to be for the next few months and the next few years, for that matter.
Well, George, thank you so much for being on the Pandocap show. We really enjoyed the conversation and hope to have you back in the future.
All right, Laura.